Actually, making a video out of this is gonna suck ass. Because it's just going to be like, oh, this time I used attack, and this time I used the healing staff. Follow my train of thought here, in the lead up to the making of this stream series and video. What if I did an attack-only run? No attacking commands, no magic, just attack and items. Actually, how about forget the items? That's too easy. Just attacking. Nah, that'd probably be dominated by double grip and swords. I had another challenge or an idea of mages without using magic. I could just combine those ideas. And so it was that I leapt to YouTube, asked my audience if Bard and Geomancer are considered mages. Most of us are in agreement here. Let's get this going. Mages only, attack only. That's just the start here, though. Through a big chunk of World 1, me and my chat were figuring out what the rest of the rules would be since I didn't really define anything else, and what we came up with is this. I can't use the item command, even to swap my weapon, so whatever I come into a fight with, that's what I got. No using any items or magic to heal or cure statuses even outside of battle. The one exception is tents and cottages. If I want to pass a turn, I can use row, but not defend, because that can put me at a much more severe disadvantage, so I really have to think about how to spend my turns. 4-job Fiesta rules, so always 4 different jobs, except for the start where I only have 3 mages. No Mystic Knight, Chemist, Dancer, or Mime. Mystic Knight is way too good even without Spellblade. Chemist doesn't have a niche here, and I wouldn't use it even if I did allow it. And Dancer I consider a melee job, but damn do I wish I had ribbons. And Mime's ability to inherit stats and use shields and stuff, yeah, not counting that either, even if it is mage adjacent. And this last one isn't a rule, but it's important to know that periodically I do use some cheats to speed up grinding. Over half the runtime was spent a level or item farming. At a certain point, my patience was irrecoverable. We're on GBA here. If I had the foresight, I would have opted for SNES or even Pixel Remaster for non-Game Shark EXP assistance, but Advance here at least has Oracle, who ends up being a saving grace of the run. And I know for a fact I'll never be saying those words in that order ever again. The run starts right off with the wanton eradication of wildlife. Gotta get quite a few levels before I feel ready for the boss. Blue Mage might have swords, but that -8 strength is so much worse than I thought. I won't be able to heal for Calibur, Siren, or Magissa, so no actual strategy can be employed yet. All I can do is hold down A and gamble on the numbers game being in my favor. Bandersnatches are a good source this early, but they can also just straight up kill you, which no other enemy can do right now. No wonder these things are hard to find. Apparently bighorns are over here too. Didn't know they could swim. The bighorn enemy, the horns are on its back. Oh my god, you're right. It's not on its head. What the hell? That's so fucked up. I shouldn't have sped up through this fight, but I think it's okay. We'll see this sprite later for any lobster lovers out there. Funny quirk about the starting weapons with my current jobs. While the dagger has 1 less attack power than the broadsword, because the dagger uses agility, it does more damage. It's only 1 agility, but clearly that's enough to make a difference. Definitely farming for those. Look at that, 2 of them in 1 fight. I need to get this out of the way now. While this run has large concentrated spikes of bad luck, my overall fortune this run was insane. Getting rare drops and rare steals throughout the game was like flipping heads 20 times in a row. I wish my Pokemon shiny luck could be on this level. I do have that bad omen feeling, like the ROM is saving up something heinous for the next stupid run I do, and if that does happen, you can come back to this video later with comments of, dude, he totally predicted it. Or if it ends up being a farce, you could instead try, dude, you're full of shit. You're right, either way. The North Mountain Duo, square brackets come up with a better name later, are too tough for my level 9 team right now. I have Ferris trying back row Frost Rod for safety, but rods just suck ass as attacking weapons in this game. Staves are actually incredible in this run by comparison. Much later I try the idea of flame rings with fire rods as another healing tool, but they hit for 0 more often than not, both because they miss and their damage range is anywhere from single to triple digit. Just 1 more level was satisfactory, along with a better strategy of focus down Magissa. A couple attempts I was trying to divide my damage between them, but since she can hit for nearly 100 with her arrows and just erasing someone with Drain, she definitely needs to go fast. Forza, high as his damage can at least be mitigated by back row, and after a few more rounds of focus fire, I've got the run's most valuable tool in my arsenal. The healing staff is the only reason why I even considered this run doable. It's my only actual healing source aside from elemental absorption, which will never be practical, or the Wonder Rod. I'll get to the Wonder Rod. I can't get mithril swords or knives, which sucks, but while grinding off-screen, my luck continued with me getting 5 flame rods in a half hour. Might as well use them. I could be safe in the back row from Garula's nonsense, and the large chunks of damage makes up for the misses. Rods suck, but their damage can be decent really early game. Chunking him for 100 sometimes is god-tier damage when this is what I'm working with. I might be over-leveled here, but the double counters are pushing back against that idea, and Lena only barely survives. A win's a win, things only get harder from here. Water crystal broken, I cannot use 2 blue mages anymore, which sucks so bad because they're my only shield user. Red mage is unironically the best job with the stipulations I have imposed upon myself. Positive strength, positive agility, can use swords, that's worth its weight in gold compared to some of the other freaks I have to deal with. No shields and a negative stamina sucks, but it's what I got to work with. Summon will be used to get a maxed out magic stat for the late game Rune Blade, and Time Mage gives equip rods, which also gives equip staves, which also has a good niche. Being what is basically the mage crystal, it's not too out there that it ends up being the most impactful one. Liquid Flame, oh boy, counter bosses are always a grand old time when you can't heal good. Flame takes 4 whole turns to undo, and Fire only doesn't kill someone because I'm at a much higher level than most players would be at this stage. I had to redo the first attempt because the Frost Rod doesn't do anything to the hand form. Still makes no sense to me, but the next try was successful, albeit taking almost exactly 10 real minutes to complete. Red Mage rocking a sword, Time Mage as the healer, other 2 are Frost Rodding for nutrients. My initial goal, like a lot of videos, should have been to get into Tornado and wait out the healing, but he swapped between hand and man so much that I didn't want my work to be completely undone. What this ends up doing is getting Galoof killed, but this is much less a problem than it seems, and in fact many bosses will rely on the strategy of less mouths to feed. Healing 2 or 3 guys is much easier than 4, so I truck on for a long time of alternating attack, heal the counter, attack, heal the counter. This goes on for a depressingly long time until the fight ends. The hardest part of a lot of fights is not accidentally healing the boss, and I'm not joking about that. Castle Escape was more difficult than I expected, although I say that like I knew what to expect. With fleeing being anything but guaranteed, and my damage still being what it is, my first go turns very sour once I start getting toted. I really want that cape and knife, and my luck goes a little bad in that my chest encounters are never the single Gygas. But after a quick restart, things go much better. I focus my targets more optimally, I don't get frogged more than once, I get generally better encounters overall so my time is spent less stressfully, and I am not fighting Ironclaw fairly. Kill 2 wolves, chip him down while the remaining 1 chips me down. 3 minutes is more than enough, right? Come on, let's go. Alright, we're good. Geomancer acquired? Dude, you have no idea how good this bell is. You're gonna learn things you didn't want to know about this bell. Ifrit is like Liquid Flame but easier. I can use 3 ice rods now, but seriously, what is this damage? 0, 220, 256. What? But yes, the fight is very similar. You can blaze for party damage, fire red to almost kill someone, a paralyzed move, one of my party members even dies too. I get an over 300 damage hit and we're out of here. Byblos the Fun Ruiner is here. A lot of people know him as the guy who dumpsters physical only runs with his protects and drains, but here I managed a first try. But check this shit out. Protect does not impact rod damage. That's fucking crazy. His evasion is still really high though, so it's a prayer and a half hitting him with these, but he was kind enough to not spam Discord and Drain, which results in a very forgiving first try on a boss I expected to be a roadblock and a half. Bard might be on par with Red Mage in terms of importance, although it won't be for a very long time. Harps are just too bad for the majority of the game, but it will get some use in the meantime. Just have patience and they pay off in a big way, just like a normal run. Would you still love me if I was a sandworm? Fuck no. I've got coral swords, and not even this run can Cray Claw Claw pose a threat, but this one's for the lobster lovers. Adamantoise was an interesting one. He's another heavy-hitting counter guy with permanent protect and shell, and ice rods are not going to do me any good here. I haven't needed to grind in a bit, but I have the airship, so I spend lots of time over on Black Flame Island to remedy that. And I do mean lots of time. I go from level 15 all the way to 23. My health has practically doubled, and Bard makes the first real appearance. I have repeatedly said that 3 of the 4 harps suck, and this fact will not be disputed here. But against a boss as tanky and non-heavy as this tortoise, it ends up being my best damage dealer for about half the fight. The basic harp does 1/16 an enemy's current HP, which for him starts at 125 and can only go down from there. Adding to that, his innate shell giving him very high magic evasion. None of my damaging options are gonna hit ever, and when they do, the numbers are small enough to even make a Fire Emblem player cry. 13 minutes this clawed creature and I traded blows. I think those are claws anyway. I was never in any real danger because of my high level and good healing, but World 1 was one extended test of patience anyway, so I'm content to be biologically ignorant and toss him into the sea where no one ever has to look at him ever again. Soul Cannon was the source of maybe the silliest grinding session. I have way too much footage of this portion of the game, so here's the really short version. While I was grinding for Adamantoise, the thought of what to do for the cannon came up, and ultimately the decision was to go Gill grinding for the History Rings. Angel Rings for everyone. Yes, that means I got over 200,000 Gill over that time, and to spoil a bit in the future, I grinded for 3 Flame Rings too, so 350,000? I really should have gotten that 4th. That unironically bit me in the ass a couple times, but mistakes make the victorious result more fulfilling, yeah? Anyway, Angel Rings mean the Olding launchers don't neuter my damage, and once again I fall to the less mouthed strategy of having my healer and Red Mage alive. Time Mage gets exactly 2 turns in between the cannon firing, perfect for perpetually keeping the damage dealer alive, 500 damage at a time. Worth noting that I Gill grinded on the Wild Knack after a certain point. If my max HP got too high, then the healing staff wouldn't have been able to keep up with the percent damage. I was able to get the perfect sweet spot of high enough for Adamantoise, low enough for the cannon. It's nice when things work out like that. Archaeoavis is who I got those flame rings for, but I didn't have them until later attempts. I tried a lot of things against this guy, but when he wants to spam his full party attacks like Frost, Lightning, or Wind Slash, there's not a lot I can do in return. And that's not even counting his blinding move. The start of the first fight, and when I finally beat him, had a 2-hour time period difference, so we'll skip the middleman again and show what we came up with. 3 flame rings, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get a 4th because Red Mage is styling out with the free silver specs you get in Waltz. This gives everyone immunity or absorption to some of the more dangerous moves, and they have decent stats on top of it. Varus will be suffering a bit, but it's nothing a healing staff bonk can't fix. As far as Wind Slash and Lightning go, I'll just have to deal with it. A ton of bosses rely on RNG to win. If anything, this is just practice for my mental. Anyway, check out this bell damage. That's pretty damn good for what this thing is. It manages to keep this higher than average output for a while, and no one would ever know because who the heck uses the Diamond Bell? Gaia is free and there's no equip bells skill. A situation like this is perfect for showing off its strength. The bad thing is that the more phases I go through, the higher his magic defense gets, until he becomes borderline impenetrable. But by that point, the Ancient Sword scales back up to doing 300 to 400. So between my abnormally high level and good weapons, this was less of a headache than I thought it would be going in. Oh god, the meteor bosses. Okay, Titan and Chimera are easy. Again, I'm comically overleveled for where I am. A higher level than I usually come into World 3 with, so I can freely tank all the big hits they throw at me. And I still have the flame rings for Frost. Parabolos is the real killer, a boss that's intended to be killed with party attacks in an environment before I have any multi-targeting capabilities whatsoever. I think the only move like that I ever get in this run is the Earthbell's Quake, so yeah, I have a bit of an issue here. Parabolos' AI confounds me. I don't know exactly how to read this, but it seems like the boss will mostly do nothing since there's 6 of them, and when they do decide to attack, they have a 1/3 chance of using self-destruct. So why does it feel like anywhere from 3 to 6 of them will all decide to blow up at the same time? The best idea I came up with was weakening them all equally so that nobody dies from self-destruct, but again, RNG comes into play. The successful run only worked because they all decided to play nice for so long. I brought up Photoshop and was repeatedly pausing to write down their current HP. If I have to use an art program and a calculator to optimally fight a Final Fantasy V boss, then I don't even know. The situation is just too stupid for words. I'm just glad the idea worked at all. I was really starting to worry about grinding to have over 1500 health in World 1 with a set of jobs that has a maximum stamina in 4. Guess who that is? It's Geomancer. Blue Mage has the second highest at 3. Any run that I can use the Ancient Sword means Gilgamesh 1 is no issue. His speed is so poor even with haste that I can easily out-heal anything he does. Usually that's jump. Actually, it's always jump, but as usual, Protect and Shell serve to make the fight take longer, not be harder. I attempted to use a video guide on how to avoid encounters on the big bridge. It worked for the first half, but completely failed on the second, so I'm chalking that up to the trigger points being different in Pixel Remaster. Not like these enemies have a chance. Mustard Bomb hurts a bit, but they all have like 3 HP. Even Neo Garula, I think, has less HP than the original. I'm not fact-checking that. Tyrannosaur is the boss of the fucking hour. This guy never deserves his own time slot, because as long as your party isn't 4 berserkers, you're free to Phoenix down him for a free win. The dungeon even gives you a free one right before the fight proper. The only time I didn't insta-kill him was in the achievements video where I deathclawed him instead. So now I actually get to see what his gimmick is, which is counterattacking, of course. Specifically, a chance to use question marks when hit, a 1/3 chance when taking any damage at all. For an attack or two, that's pretty beefy but still survivable. After that, I just have a 33% chance to die instantly. And with 5000 HP, that's a whole lot of coin tosses. I anticipated this guy not being easy, but I didn't expect how long I'd get stuck here. I didn't do any grinding. I was pretty convinced that no matter how much that I did, the RNG-ness of this fight wasn't gonna change in a significant way. So I just threw bodies at the problem until it worked. Bard makes a return. I still can't get the other 2 harps until the Moogles are rescued, so 1/16 is all I got to work with. Ferris has the Ancient Sword still, because Tyrannosaur is vulnerable to old. Considering his entire strategy ignores speed and strength entirely, this is of questionable practicality, but it does at least make him slower, and his regular attacks doing 0 damage isn't useless. The healing staff is useful for the intended purpose at first, but once we get into instant death territory, it can be used as an attacking weapon just as well. I honestly don't remember what Bart's is supposed to be doing here. He shuffles around back and forth until dying. Once again, the RNG taketh hold, although I do kinda like how you can tell how much health he has whenever he nukes you. Godspeed to you, Skelesaur, because this is the most screen time you'll ever get on this channel. I hate Moogles. If I could feed you this dancing dagger, I would. Speaking of, Abductor is not immune to confusion. I wasn't exactly expecting this guy to be a roadblock, and my assumption was well-founded. I don't think he has a moveset when he's confused. I don't know. Is he okay? Am I okay? Check this shit. See how much this does. Damn. You're not going to be seeing harp numbers like that for a long time. I got the Confuse and Sleep harps now, so bigger damage and more statuses. Bard spends a bunch of turns shredding its health while everyone else just does their thing. The Bone Mail is more or less explicitly made for this fight, so Red Mage gets it while she has the second highest damage output. A legitimately good boss fight for me. Everything here lines up in just the right way to destroy this plant. Gex Death, a lizard warlock that makes outdated TV references. Wahaha. This is just like having tacos at Bill Murray's house. Something like that, right? Boat Gilgamesh turned out being the most difficult of the lot, primarily due to Enkidu, secondarily because this is where Dance makes its awful return. And also this is the last time I fight him. Enkidu back there isn't heavy, so he can be whittled down by the harp, but he's also in the back row, so it's annoying to damage him with anything else. Now is when I learned to rely more on my good friend Geomancer. Diamond Bell keeps its solid damage, means I can keep pace way better to take him out. It helps that he missed his vampires. That'd be scary enough already, but this is GBA vampire. That'd be an instant reset if it landed. I mentioned Dance, and yeah, here's where Dancing Dagger takes the stage. It's more subdued right now since Gilgamesh by himself isn't a big hassle. In fact, my misclick into killing Ferris was the biggest roadblock after Enkidu dies, but it's one of those calm before the storm ideas. With save state powers, I farm for a set of reflect rings, mostly because of a strategy that completely fails later. So thank God I didn't do that legitimately, and my initial plan for Atomos also fails horribly. I was under the impression that the Diamond Bell doesn't disturb, sleep, or confuse, and it does. So I actually got to use my brain here. So use those reflect rings to avoid gravity and Sloga, hold A and go to 10. Oh, it failed. That is what I did though, literally hold A and pray for enough sword dances to tear through his needlessly huge HP pool. At some point it works just through law of large numbers. I have no idea how I'm supposed to feel about that. Full transparency, I used a cheat to guarantee item drops specifically to get 4 staves of light from the metamorphs. My plan for X-Death necessitated them, and I didn't want to do that reflect ring save state shenanigan again, so I made a concession here. While my luck was great for most of the run, I sadly wasn't lucky enough to get 4 of these staves back to back. I would love to use them on the crystals, but as I discovered a while back, they're immune to holy for some reason, and this fight just sucks. This is really where I was regretting not having a 4th flame ring, because my idea is to get the fire crystal down to low health and essentially get a full heal every turn while I wail on the other 3. Seems pretty simple, and it is, no reason it shouldn't be, except for that apparently the fire crystal is the slowest. The number difference is so small, I'm sure you're thinking, it doesn't matter. But no, my second best run, I died because one of the crystals got to go twice before I got my fire heal. I don't know why, but one attempt I tried using the Purabolos thing again with using Photoshop to keep track of all their health, but after that failed I realized that was meaningless and leaned more into holding A until they died. What the most ridiculous part of this fight ended up being was the dancing dagger, because look at these 4 consecutive turns. Mystery Waltz, Tempting Tango, Tempting Tango, Tempting Tango. What the... No, I need to put this on screen. When you attack with the dancing dagger, it's a 50-50 chance of doing a regular attack or the dance command, with the standard 25% chance of each dance after that. So with just those 3 confusion dances in a row, am I doing this math right? Is that a 0.2% chance of that happening? It's even lower if I were to include the Mystery Waltz, as they're the 2 commands that don't do damage. Then the number looks like this. I am strongly requesting someone smarter than me to find the actual odds of this happening, because I probably did it wrong. But if this is correct, why did it take me so many years to find a shiny Pokemon? Whatever. I grinded a couple more levels up to 32. I hold down the A button and managed to pull through. That was a close one. Cool. First try? I guess that's where all my luck was being saved up. Oh my god, what the What? What? I don't want more than one. I hate this game. And then I nearly piss it away by leaving a future Black Warlock alive, which causes him to start spamming his instant death spells with reckless abandon. I remind you that the only items I'm allowing myself to use are tents and cottages, so if I die now, that insane luck just went down the toilet. And then I get to this thing, idiotically stepping on the switch without thinking about it. The save point is right past the bridge, but Ferris is the only one alive, she has the healing staff equipped, and I can't pause to unequip it because I stepped on the button. You can't run from the encounters triggered for mistiming this thing, so if I press A wrong, it's over. And I can't run from an encounter. Why is this so fast on GBA? I've never been so stressed out doing this stupid-ass minigame. I can't like press the button. This is like the most non-important stressful thing I ever had to do in my fucking life. Ugh, no! What the fuck? That's not fair. Get me out of here. Ugh, get me out of here. Oh my god. I opt not to fight Gilgamesh here. This is a mistake, and I won't know why for a long time. A combination of chat suggestion and me remembering one of Backlog Buster's videos make me think that 4 reflect rings and 4 staves of light would be the ideal strategy here. I remember those things chunking X-Death for huge damage since he's weak to holy. Plus, with the reflect rings, if I can get to his second phase where he starts double attacking, his health will go down even faster if I can reflect some Aga magic. This ended up not working even remotely. First off, the damage here is... I mean, for this party, it's actually pretty good, but compared to the video that I watched, it was like half as strong, which leads me to believe something about the weapon was buffed in some way going into Pixel Remaster. But besides that, the reflect ring strategy isn't good either. Almost all his attacks in the first phase aren't reflectable, and the one that is, level 3 Flare, requires I be at the right level, assuming he even decides to do it at all. I really hang on to this idea too, and for way way too long. I'd grind up 3 levels, try again, die, grind more, die. I mean, this just had no chance. I can't even heal myself. My triumphant run went as follows. Level 39, which is absurd on the face of it because that's a higher level than I beat the game with every run I do. 3 Staves of Light because Pixel Remaster buffs notwithstanding, they're still my best damage option. And 3 Flame Rings to go with them so I'm immune to some of the Aga spells late in the fight while not making me immune to the healing staff. And speaking of, heal staff Reflectoring White Mage, so the occasional spell directed at her can contribute some damage. She can't heal herself, which is bad, but as always this comes down to luck, so I'll manage. Also I have to make sure X-Death uses a regular attack as his starting move, because Doom is non-negotiable in a scenario where I can't revive anyone. I should have leveled up one more time because I abandoned the level 3 flare idea a while ago, and it gets Ferris killed, but silver lining, X-Death takes a chunk of damage, and I can fall back on the less mouth strategy again. From here, everything manages to go right for me. Lena almost never gets targeted, the Aga spells prove to be more beneficial than not, I slowly but surely chipping down 700 HP at a time, and victory is assured after the longest 6 minutes of my life. I'm riding that high for a while, long enough that I choose to ding this stupid antlion to death. Geomancer has been such a great help through everything that I'm very hesitant to want to stop using it. I'm forgetting how many people had equipped rods at this point in the game. With all the excessive grinding that's been happening, you'd think it'd be everyone, but I wish Geomancer had been used for the X-Death fight. I get the chicken knife and it's already maxed out. That doesn't happen very often. Very nice that I could just have this. Pretend there aren't 2 time mages on screen right now. Considering how often the gargoyles are a couple of dickhead roadblocks, I expected to be here for a while, but, no, I first tried this somehow. The dancing dagger was thrown in the trash the instant I got the chicken knife. Like, for real, that thing is never seeing an iota of sunlight ever again. So I got pure 50/50s with this damage, but that damage kicks the shit out of most of my weapons up to now, and the gargoyles were nice enough to not frame 1 revive themselves repeatedly, giving me enough time to finish the fight with the Morning Star of all things. One uneventful pyramid run later, and Caliphysteria makes her appearance. In a perfect world, I'd be able to sleep and Diamond Bell her to victory, but our world is inherently flawed, so I gotta come up with something else. Said something else is cut 'em up, baby! I got a berserk staff and I know how to use it. Alright, check this shit out. It's just that easy. I got the Earth Bell, and I really wanted to use it here in combination with Flame Rings to nullify Blaze or Frost or whatever Wendigo uses, but they're immune to Earth. Can't have nothing in this life. I'm in my element here against Minotaur. Finally someone understands me. Now die, please. So omniscient. At this point in the run, with everything I learned, I don't know why I was assuming any of the bells or harps in my collection would ignore his return. But they didn't, so here we are waiting. We were thinking of things to do while waiting. One of our ideas was Wordle. That day's answer was strange. Haste? Oh shit, what if it's haste? Wow. And then the thing that happens at least once a playthrough finally happened. I just don't want to show all the... Oh, it fucking crashed. God damn it. Well, I didn't think about that. Even more surprising, Omniscient actually killed himself. I know there's no actual porn on screen. Wait, what? What? How the fuck did that happen? That's the biggest evidence to me that this run is blessed in the weirdest ways possible. If you're wondering why I even care about Fork Tower and everything after, and why I don't just storm the rift right away, there's a couple reasons. One is the Rune Blade, which is, for the most part, the Red Mage's best weapon. A lot of fights from here to Necrophobe have Summon, Rune Blade, Red Mage, and Equip Harp's Chicken Knife, Blue Mage, and it works really well. But naturally, if Blue Mage switches to some gimmick weapon, that knife is going right into Red's hands instead. The other reason is Oracle. I said way back in the intro how Oracle would be my saving grace, and... well, that's an exaggeration, but it is true that this is yet another only works in this run's absurd circumstances feature. Oracle has read ahead, which is my best method of avoiding encounters since I can't use flee commands, and the chicken knife is unreliable in doing it. Plus their highest magic is great to have as a heal bot. What's also great is that Leviathan is going to be a real pal and let me walk out of here with the tablet, meaning one more to go. If Tyrannosaur gets to be a real boss, then so do these three, who I have also never fought legitimately. Actually, no, I think I did once. In my 2020 4-Drop Fiesta series, I just spammed Graviga a bunch, but here I get to abuse the full power of the Apollo's harp. I wish I got to use this thing more often, but like so many other things, this kind of run is where it gets to shine the most. Also, I get totally destroyed the first fight, so we'll ignore that, but why is this fight an easier form of the gargoyles? These three do more damage, but their revive each other gimmick is like a gimped version of the concept. They seem to revive each other with barely any HP. They do delta attack on revival, so it synergizes well with the low HP revive in that way, but I don't know, for being a tablet dungeon boss, it seems like everything about these guys was meant to be easy. Some cool mechanics, like you see them do fire, ice, and poison spells and you think, oh yeah, I get it, he's red, so he's got fire. But then the thought stops there. Alas, but I've got all the tablets now, Oracle, here I come. Wait, Read Ahead is the mastery ability? Ugh. Might as well grind some now. I've got the Sage Staff and Apollo's Harp for easy undead slaughtering. We all know this run isn't getting beaten at level 40. Probably won't even be till 50. Who knows how much grinding I'll have to do. This is the kind of run that makes me appreciate the level cap being so high, but it's offset by levels above 45 being almost impossible to get without literal hours wasted on holding the A button on enemies that couldn't possibly put a dent in you. Now I'm moving into the Rift. In looking at all this footage in Vegas, entering the Rift was about the 2/3 mark, if you want an idea of how things go from now on. Something happened in the forest area. I think a Smurf showed up, but I wasn't really paying attention. I also get killed right after, so I might have been cursed. Something happened in the forest area. I think a Smurf showed up, but I wasn't really paying attention. I almost learned Magic Hammer against a panda. Too bad the pesky Aegis shield foiled my plans yet again. Here's a comedy of errors for you. I backtrack out of the dungeon to confuse a Galacat for Float, since the chance of me brute forcing Catastrophe without getting obliterated by all the Earthshakers is astronomically low without getting to like level 90. That's simple enough, but on the way back, I use the healing pot in the Phantom Village segment, and anytime a full party heal happens, it dispels Float. And then I did it again. The fuck does that mean? My initial thought about how this makes sense is that the party heals are a full cleanse of status, regardless of usefulness, but no, they fucking aren't. Zombie can only be cured with holy water. Let me keep my float. And keep in mind, I still don't have Read Ahead because I don't want to master a whole job right now. I've been grinding enough, but I'm surely going to have to relent sooner than later. Whatever. I remember the third time, Catastrophe is done, but I really should have done Azomagia first. I actually ran out of MP for the Rune Blade. I don't have the chicken knife on. He Mighty Guards to reduce my damage even more. I get minied for the final nail in the coffin. This whole first fight was a complete wash. So I fight Catastrophe again because I can't use elixirs to restore my MP. I was gonna backtrack to the previous save point to heal, but every single time I tried to do this, I get destroyed on the way out. Then the next time the game crashed. The game was clearly not having it right now, so I resigned myself to ending the stream and getting Read Ahead off screen. This whole castle segment was taxing on my brain for the stupidest reasons. So next stream, I'm all refreshed, ready to maul this mage, and this dude gets torn up by my now healthy party. Doom nearly takes Bart's out, but with 1 second left, the second to last save point is all mine. Ol' Hallie here is more of a waiting game. I can't prevent myself from getting frogged, so I'll have to wait for his AI to cycle around. In the meantime, Ferris can chip away with the occasional quake, and we've got Reflect Rings solely for the purpose of bouncing his 9,000 damage holy back at himself. The downside is that he shelled himself somewhere in there, but 4,700 is still a respectable number. Once we're back in human form, it's just a few turns of attacks before the fight is over. Holy is the only attack that poses any danger in this fight whatsoever. Twintania, charging form, die. From here, there's 4 more rooms, 2 more bosses until the credits, and 6 more hours of footage left. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, right? Well, maybe it doesn't. Depending on how much you know about certain games, it's hard to conceptualize time versus content in a meaningful way. And even if you told me those statistics out of context, I might feel empty-headed. Do I want to use any brain power contextualizing how long a room or a boss is supposed to take in a 90s JRPG? Are the 2 remaining fights actually as bad as I'm trying to imply they are? Am I trying to stall for time to avoid talking about these bosses no matter how little time it actually ends up wasting? Gilgamesh isn't here since he went unfought in Castle Exdeath. I've never not encountered him there, so this is another first for me. This has an unfortunate side effect against Necrophobe, because it means I have to take down all 44,000 of his health myself, instead of the last 10,000 being handled by our favorite dimensional traveler. To say Necrophobe took a long time to beat is underselling it dramatically. So many fights, so many tries, and the winning strategy wasn't too far off from the initial one, just with more levels. See, the barriers, while heavy, are not immune to instant death and break. Usually you would abuse this with a Mystic Knight, but in my circumstance, this led to the creative idea of having a Reflect Ring on someone, then bouncing a Wonder Rod break and Assassin's Dagger deaths off of them to cheese kill the barriers. I held onto this idea for way too long for how flawed it is. The Wonder Rod is actually a key player in both of these last bosses, but not for the break, and the Assassin's Dagger low death activation chance just means the Reflect Holder gets chipped to death without being able to get healed reliably. I can try and bounce a heal staff cast off the barriers, but there's only a 25% chance of happening, and you know my feelings on odds like those. With the self-imposed restrictions I have, only having 4 weapons accessible means it's impossible to have a foolproof strategy that works on both the barriers and Necro himself. I have these insta-kills ready, but even if they do work, the Assassin Dagger isn't going to do shit against him, so they become dead weight. If I focus more on elemental damage, then the barriers just walk all over me. Eventually I just had to ditch the Reflect Ring idea, and I do mean eventually, because I'm level 50 now. This is several levels above what 99% of players beat this game at, because you really, really have to try to get this high. I can tank a fair amount of the Flares, Holies, and Aga spells now. I'm totally done trying to gimmick my way through this. I'm going for raw damage with Chicken Knife Blue Mage and Rune Blade Red Mage. Oracle Heal Staff to restore a respectable 800 to 900 per turn, and Geomancer brandishing the Wonder Rod with Equip Rods. For the record, assume that people are using Equip Harps at all times with the agility boost, except for the Red Mage who's still using Summon for the big magic bonus utilized by the Rune Blade. Anyway, Ferris spends the whole first half of the fight shuffling back and forth waiting for this part, because she is by far the most important part of the plan once we get here. After break, the order of spells in this thing is Bio, all 3 Aga spells, then Flare. That is a ridiculous damage output, and especially necessary since, as mentioned, Gilgamesh isn't here to save my ass. Necrophobe does not mess around. He hits unbelievably hard, twice per turn at that, and will at some point introduce death as a fuck you move to really throw a wrench in things. Once he hits Lena with that, it's a race to the finish. The funniest part of this fight is that once I hit Flare, I pause the game to go look at the Wonder Rod spell order on the wiki, but when I come back, he dies. I've never seen this death message. I hope to never see it again. Well, this is it. Only one boss left. I gotta leave to cycle the spell list to break again for yet another strategy that doesn't pan out. If you've watched enough videos about this game, you probably know the Almagest target of Neo Exdeath is vulnerable to break, and from that you can assume what my plan is. This plan literally never works. Unlike against the barriers, where break always worked, I think a combination of break's low natural accuracy and Neo's natural ridiculously high magic evasion means that, yeah, it just never hits. Ever. Even level grinding up to being equal level with it so I'm not incurring an accuracy penalty doesn't help. This was a flawed plan to begin with. This isn't to say the Wonder Rod is useless though. Despite almost never seeing any use on my channel, it ends up being one of the best weapons at the end here. The true winner of the insane circumstances I've put myself in. But yeah, just to be clear, there was a lot of leveling up at this point, but not a lot of time spent. One of my Discord members, Gingivitis, made a code that makes every enemy give a ton of EXP, meaning that instead of taking an hour to level up once, it only takes about a minute. I wanted to not cheap out and skip to 99. I was pretty confident in this being doable before I hit that cap, so the fact that someone made this code to make things more in line with what I wanted is something I have to be forever grateful for. I have a feeling there's at least some people watching this that think that's a lame cop-out, and maybe you're right. I felt similarly about some challenge runs I've watched. A kind of, why are you doing this kind of run if you don't want to fully commit to the bit feeling. And to that I guess I would say, The short version is that I grinded to level 80. To avoid going to 99, but also not try every single level up to that point, I would get to a level multiple of 5, give the final boss a few legitimate tries where I didn't get white holed at the start or miss half my attacks, and if it was clear I wasn't making any noticeable progress, go up 5 more levels. And here I am at level fucking 80. Unless you've done some kind of only Berserker challenge, no one has ever gotten this high in this game. If you try and tell me you did, no you fucking didn't. The game was never intending anyone to get above 50. That the game has a 99 cap at all is indicative that the Final Fantasy series, even back then, just had certain things it had to have. So what have we got here? Red Mage Chicken Knife hitting for half the damage cap, Oracle Healing Staff finally getting a 4-digit Cura, Blue Mage Wonder Rod with the Aegis Shield to avoid Petrify using the Aura spells for chip damage until Neo, where the real damage comes in. Summoner Apollo's Harp specifically for killing the top left portion of Neo, which is the most dangerous part. I think that's the funniest, or maybe most ironic, part of this whole fight, is that my HP is so stupidly high now that Almaguest isn't even that much of a concern. The real shit is Grand Cross, which the Harp will be taking care of. Even when the Harp doesn't hit a weakness, it's still averaging about 1,000. Not very much since every segment has 50,000 at minimum, but it isn't nothing. My level is also so high that White Hole has a hell of a time connecting on me, which is great since I only have one Aegis Shield to prevent Petrify. Meteor going off right before I head into Neo sucks, but I think I'll be able to manage. I gotta move fast in this fight. Neo is out to play, and Ferris gets right to work hitting the damage cap on Grand Cross. I guess it's a blessing in disguise that Neo seems to prioritize doing Almaguest first out of all his super moves, but I don't know what his AI looks like under the hood. I choose to stay ignorant about this because ignorance is bliss. I do futilely try to break one last time just to see, but no. Like I said, break never worked. But at this point I'm not here for break, it's everything else I'm interested in. Krill and Bartz take turns wailing on the bottom right before I can get Almaguested too much. 1600 is still a lot, especially party-wide, but my HP is so high that I can take 2 of them before being in any significant danger. As long as I'm constantly healing whoever's lowest, I've got little to worry about. It only takes 6 Harp Strikes to take Grand Cross out of the equation, so Ferris focuses her efforts on helping kill the bottom right. I'm not sure how much she contributed exactly, but like I said, it wasn't nothing. When that goes down, I was audibly shocked and turned the music back on. I've been doing this for a while off stream and was not confident in my ability to beat the game on that day, so I needed the sound back on to hear when the third segment would go down. My goal now is to attempt to evenly distribute my damage so I don't incur the wrath of one segment remaining Neo X-Death, where he starts attacking twice with all his super dangerous moves. Unfortunately, the back part actually is considered back row, which I did not know about because the magic lamp always makes that a non-issue, but I still try despite this. I also am pausing after almost every single Blue Mage turn because I still have the Wonder Rod order up on my other monitor. You better believe I'm getting Protect and Shell up, as well as any other beneficial spell I can wring some use out of. But oh no! Tragedy strikes! Delta Attack, a petrifying move, is launched on the Red Mage, my main damage dealer. This might be the end. That's where you're wrong, you fucking idiot. You see, before I fought X-Death, Bartz and Krill's jobs were switched, and Bartz was holding the Aegis Shield. I didn't know this until recently, but there's a glitch in this game, at least in GBA, where immunities given through equipment are inherited for one battle after you equip them, meaning that Bartz has the Petrify immunity from the shield even though he's not holding it! Bartz is completely fine and continues wailing away when he's not trying to unsuccessfully flee, and, I make a pretty big blunder and accidentally Wonder-Rotting Blink onto Neo. Oops. And Bartz takes way too many turns to actually attack and get rid of it. I can feel the luck blessings from the rest of the run slowly slipping away, but I can feel victory within my grasp here. I've used the rod so many times I almost loop back around to where I started. I've used up the entire White Mage catalog and managed to get a Holy off for some impressive damage. Another Harp and Knife Strike and suddenly I'm down yet another segment, meaning only the back part is left and I have no clue how damaged it is. And despite it being the only enemy left, it's still considered back row. So Red Mage is still doing half as much damage as it could be. I was really banking on doing full damage if I killed the front part first, but in retrospect I really shouldn't have gambled on that. The back part has the most health with 60,000, with the front only having 50, so there was no reason for me to put myself in this situation. Bartz right away gets double vacuum waved, Thank God he had Protect on, seriously saved everything. Everyone but Lena is holding A, trying to end the fight as soon as possible. He does another Almagest, and I make an unbelievable discovery. It's vulnerable to poison! And one attack later... it's over. Neo X-Death is beaten with only the attack command at level goddamn 80. This was maybe the worst idea I've ever had for a run of this game. When I first started making challenge runs of this game, I thought that level 1 would have been the hardest. I thought no EXP, no ABP would have been the hardest. I had no idea that a run like this would have been so much worse. I also want to say that because this last fight was so long, I'm going to put the unedited version of it in the description as an unlisted video. My hope to you is that you never have to experience this run yourself. I can't say this with 100% certainty, but aside from anything involving Berserker only, this might be the most difficult challenge run of this game out there. Or at least it's very high on the list. There's not a lot of stipulations you can add onto this that would make it... what the hell? What is that noise? What is that? What?
If you want to talk about hard Final Fantasy, this is not this right here is bullshit, right? This challenge you just watched is bullshit. It's not the hardest Final Fantasy V challenge you could possibly do. If you want to know what the hardest Final Fantasy V challenge you could